What is going on, my guys? Nick here from Pro Wrestling Unlimited, bringing you another edition of the Fightful Wrestling Weekly. Joining me, we have Tim. Tim, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. It is, Friday the 30th, almost Easter. 2 more days.
Correct.
Almost
2 days.
April, almost a week away from WrestleMania. I mean, technically, in 1 week, WrestleMania Access begins.
That's true. I'm excited. I'm quite excited.
WrestleMania week, and I do like that. I mean, a little off topic here, but they announced on WWE that we're going to get some special programming on the USA Network next week. We will be getting on Thursday, Greatest Moments of WrestleMania. On Saturday, which I really like this, they're coming 1 day after it airs on the network, an hour special for the Hall of Fame. And then the second hour of the WrestleMania kickoff will be live on the USA Network.
You know what time of year it is?
What?
Whoa, WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania season. But
You said the whoa, and I thought you were going to go into freaking Zack Ryder. Oh, radio.
All right. Well, let's get into our first topic here, talking about EC3. So, Tim, let us know a little bit about EC3.
All right. So, EC3 recently, over the last, I want to say, month and a half or so, maybe 2 months ago, in the actual timeline of real life, not TV, he left Impact Wrestling. Sean wrote this week, EC3 finished up on Impact Wrestling television last week. Just before he debuted as an on-screen character for WWE's NXT brand, EC3 appeared at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia in the crowd, but didn't debut for several months until he was off Impact TV. He goes on to say that I inquired about the situation and was told that there was no contractual obligation or release condition that prevented this. It just happened that way. He goes on to say that I was told by those within Impact that they just decided to embrace the fact that almost everyone knew he was going to leave. This was going to happen. There was an EC3 produced backstage segment, which everyone from Tyrus to Bobby Lashley to Taiji Ishimori showed up and predicted that EC3 would be the one to get fired. The idea for the segment was actually Tyrus's idea. Now, if you don't watch Impact and don't know who Tyrus is the former Brodus Clay. He goes on to say that it was Tyrus's idea for the segment, and it played out very well. He says that he was told that many in Impact think highly of EC3 and Laurel Van Ness, who continue to promote their appearances on Impact Wrestling TV even after leaving the company.
Mm-hmm.
So,
EC3 was a workhorse down there. He was a name that people knew from Impact Wrestling, and I think he has respect for Impact. Impact had the respect for him. What we do know, or what I'm going to go ahead and speculate here, is that he is going to win that North American title, and I'm going to challenge you for a unification match with my North American title that I purchased for $400 on eBay. So EC3, once you win that title, you come find me.
No.
And we'll settle this.
I don't know about that. You had to buy yours, and he's going to earn his.
Hey, he's in the top 1%. He could buy it if he wants to, but he's not gonna, because he's afraid. He thinks, I got to win this to look legit. I don't have to. So EC3, I'm waiting, buddy. Time's ticking.
Thinking about this, I do think EC3 will be the one to come out victorious in the ladder match.
It has to be. Promo he cut?
Now, here's the thing. Usually, now this is main roster thinking here. Usually, when somebody gets pushed really big before a big match, they're not the one that's going to win. They usually like to keep whoever's the winner a little more low-key. So that's why I'm thinking, maybe it goes to Ricochet instead. I don't see it being Velveteen Dream. I don't see it being Lars Sullivan or Killian Dane, because I think Lars Sullivan, who was supposed to be in the NXT, the main championship title picture, I think he may go back to that if they want to continue that route. Because if you remember, at least what the rumor was, he was supposed to get the match that Gargano got, but then he was absent for a month from NXT.
Exactly.
So I don't think Killian Dane wins that. Or not Killian Dane, but Lars Sullivan wins the title. Maybe he goes back, like I said, to the world title picture.
Mm-hmm.
But EC3, that 1%er, could be the guy that they give that title to. And I don't see why not.
He had such a win face, and I thought he's just so good. And I'd love to see EC3 walk away with that title. Out of kayfabe, I'd love to see EC3 win that title because he's fantastic.
I loved how
fantastic on the mic.
I love how it was his first night in. I don't think he's done any other shows. He already knew his song word for word, singing it, walking down the ramp and into the ring. I don't know how many times he put that on repeat, but it's still that's dedication.
He even said it was
that's dedication right there.
He said that it was a banger, and it's a good theme song. I can't wait till it's on Spotify.
I really, really like that song.
One thing that I really, really like is the Listin' Ya Boy.
Ooh.
And there is an episode of Listin' Ya Boy this week. It's pretty damn good. So we're going to send you over. Let's take a listen to that right now.
What is on top of Randy Savage's head? Is that a rat?
Yeah, you just saw it now. Yeah. It's been there for weeks. It's a rat.
I guess I didn't pay that much attention.
Boy,
what's the significance of that?
That concerns me. This is the managing editor of the site, Nigel.
Yeah, well. Yeah, but what's the significance of it?
The significance is it was on the desk and I had to move it and put it somewhere else. So it ended up on Randy Virgil's head because it had to go somewhere. So I want to ask you this. So Ronda Rousey, you saw her promo on Raw on Monday, right? Her in-ring promo with Kurt Angle.
Yes, I did.
Now, I'm not going to talk about the fact that she put red eyeliner under her eyes, which looked really weird. She looked like a demon. It was very unique, odd looking. Here's my question for you. She cut that promo. Now, she kept it short and everything. I don't know if this was accidental and pure luck, or if she was given some kind of guidance before she went out there. She cut that promo in such a way that she was able to thwart the what chance. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And whenever she would pause, she would keep her pauses short. And when the people were about to say what, she would jump into the next sentence. And I was watching that thinking to myself, man, she's doing this better than like most of the roster. Was it accidental, or was she told in advance this could happen and they kind of gave her some pointers on how to get around it?
I don't know if she was told beforehand, but I'm pretty sure she was aware of them, and she probably picked up that the cadence was the issue. The thing is about Ronda Rousey, like people that don't want to like her in a WWE world are trying to find new reasons every week. It's like, oh, she can't cut a promo. Well, by night two, she showed that she could.
Yeah.
I had people saying that she can't, that her throw was bad a couple of weeks ago on Dana Brooke, and I'm like, no, it's a judo throw. Maybe didn't translate to wrestling well, but there are going to be dozens of those that she does that are going to be a trial and error thing. I could say that the physical interaction on Monday was bad. It was bad for a lot of reasons. Sonya Deville and her were not on the same page whatsoever. But I don't know. I've loved her promo work since after the first night. I think that she has been great on promos.
I was just very impressed that the way she was able to get around the what chance. And there have been so many performers, including season ones, that get completely fucked up over that because they don't know what to do about it, and she was great about it, and I was very impressed. I want to ask you this question. So yesterday, March 27, she did the media rounds at ESPN, and Ronda Rousey was pretty ornery during the day. I don't know if she didn't have enough coffee that day. I don't know what happened. But a couple of things happened, and I decided not to put the clips on here because YouTube gets pissed off when we do that. So I didn't put the clips on here. But so the first thing was she was on Mike Golick's show. He's a former football player. Now he does a show for ESPN. He asked her a very simple question. He said,
"Wow."
Yes, he did. Come on. He did. He said, "Is there a possibility that you could go back to fighting in time?" That was the question.
No.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that the exact quote?
Yes. Because first he said he talked about her loss. She didn't really want to talk about it. He said, "Do you think you'll ever fight again?" And she said, "I don't know." And he said, "So is there a possibility that you could go back to fighting in time?" And she looked at him, and she was kind of ornery going into it, and she was giving him short answers and whatnot. She said to him, "Are you asking me if I can go back in time? Is that what you're asking me?"
Well, the way that he framed it, initially I was like, did he ask her that? And then immediately I picked up on it. I was like, oh, no, okay, I get it. But I'm sure that that's what it was initially for her. Then it turned into her full-blown trolling him.
I was going to say, do you think that she did that intentionally? Not because she really thought he was asking that question, but because she was just in a bad mood and decided to mess with him, and that's why she rolled in that direction?
Initially, I think that the question went over her head, and she was, it's early in the morning. She knows she's got like 10 of these. She's doing the car wash.
Right.
She knows that she's about to be asked a bunch of stuff that she doesn't want to be asked.
And the same stuff over and over, too.
Yes, which is what we'll get into that in a minute. But
yeah,
if you've ever watched her do media, this isn't like a new thing. Like, she's always kind of been like that. Some days she's better than others. But initially, I was like, man, that's a terrible way to frame that question. And then the second time around, she was just trolling. And I've had people say, no, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. I'm like, what are you saying? That she didn't understand the question by that point.
Right.
You could clearly tell that she was if you've ever watched anything of her. But there are still people who just, for whatever reason, they want to die on that hill.
Right.
Initially, it went over her head. But
now I will say, I thought
she recovered for her, at least.
Well, I think Golic handled it very well, and he moved on, and they continued the conversation, talked about Floyd Mayweather and whatnot, and she seemed to lighten up a little bit after that.
So if you guys enjoyed that, head over to Pro Wrestling Unlimited to hear the rest of it, or you can also head over to Fightful.com. And now that's going to do it for us here, because we're going to send you over to 2 interviews now with Robbie E, and after that one wraps up, we're going to send you another one with Joey Janella. Take a listen.
Yeah, and your first 2 guests were Glacier, who we've seen reemerge a little bit over the last year. He was at Joey Janela's spring break and did an ROH taping, but other than that, we've not seen him. And another one was Muhammad Hassan, a guy who I've personally written about 10,000 words on, and there was a lot of stuff in that podcast you all did that I had never even heard in the probably 2 hours that I'd spoken to him. Things like finding out that Stephanie McMahon wasn't too happy with what he had recommended for his character. Like, there were just, and The Rock sending him tips via Trish Stratus. There was so much that you all went into that I had never even heard before. I love the concept. What's perhaps the most surprising thing you've heard thus far through your first couple of episodes?
I mean, I think the most surprising thing is just how, because again, I want people on, this is more towards Glacier, not Muhammad, because he's a little newer, but I think the best era for this show is going to be like the end years of WCW, because I think there were so many guys there that just kind of like were forgotten about and then disappeared. So like for me, just the whole thing with Glacier was cool. The most surprising thing was just how nice of a human he was. I think he was the nicest guy I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, it's been kind of interesting to listen to these first couple of episodes, because obviously there were big plans for both of these guys. And
yeah, and well, I mean, there was, and even beyond the big plans for them, I think there was just so many little things along the way with their stories. Like Glacier, I didn't even know, and I don't think a lot of people did. I swore that he went right to the power plant and then just was a new wrestler as Glacier. I didn't know he had 10 years prior experience. So there's just so much stuff into the story that, again, like you said, they have Glacier's resurfaced a little bit, and a few people have heard the story on Hassan, but I think there was just so much more to it, you know?
Matt had mentioned on the show that Muhammad was his dream guest. Who's your dream guest?
It's hard to say one person. I do really want to get, only because, again, I feel he hasn't been on a lot of podcasts, I would love to get David Flair on.
Yeah.
I think he would be a really good one with some cool stuff, and a lot of people don't know his story. So I think that would be super cool.
Well, there's that rather scary, controversial story about how his run ended in like Puerto Rico. We won't get into that on this show, but there's some craziness behind that if you want to do some research on that. Just straight up weird stuff with that. So yeah, that's such an underrated and out of left field awesome guest to have on something like that. And I mean, like you all mentioned, Muhammad Hassan's just 38 years old now after being out for 10 years. I don't think David Flair is even 40 yet. I think he just turned 39.
Probably, because he was so young when he was doing it, and that's why. And like that, those are the kind of guests we want. People like the way you just reacted, kind of like, wow, that's weird, David Flair.
Yeah.
But I think those are going to be the cool guests of just people where they're like, wow, they really had a cool story. Let's hear it. Because don't you find that a lot of guys do the same podcast and tell the same stories? Hell, I've been on so many podcasts, and I find myself telling the same stories and the same jokes. And like I think finding guys that haven't done many will bring something different to the table for wrestling fans that listen to podcasts.
Now this year, you'll have the great Sasuke. How'd you pull that one off?
You know, they asked me like last year, like after that, like, do you want to wrestle? Like Brett and Danny, they're the promoters of Game Changer. I said, I believe it's a great Sasuke. So yeah, we don't know if we can make that happen. It's kind of a crazy one, but I got an email Michinoku Pro and numerous times, got no response, and started sliding in some DMs and got no response. And then we started hitting up some Japanese wrestlers and asking them, can we get us in contact with Sasuke? Some of them we'd get response from, and some we wouldn't. And finally we last ditch effort we hit up Kikutaro, and he sealed the deal within 15 minutes.
Wow.
So we had Sasuke booked with like from 15 to 20 minutes from talking to Kikutaro. Sasuke was all booked up 20 minutes later.
And that's not one you see a lot. Like it's beyond him being a legend. You just don't see his name on the marquee a whole lot, at least domestically here in America. So that's a very, very special matchup. What else do you have booked as of right now?
We have Pierre-Carl Adelet from the Quebecers.
Yes.
PCO versus Walter, who's probably one of the best big men in professional wrestling right now. He's a WXW guy who he's been around since 2006, I think, and in the last year, maybe longer, maybe 2004. In the last year, he's really been taking a lot of bookings in the United States PWG, Evolve, Beyond Wrestling. She's been having killer matches, so he's definitely someone we want to have this year. And I saw PCO on a show in Chicago. He wrestled Ethan Page, and they just had a ridiculous match. And I'm like, this guy's 50, doing split-legged moonsaults and Frankensteiners, super Frankensteiners, and reckless moonsaults to the outside. I said, this has got potential to be fucking incredible.